Hello my friends. Today I have compiled a condensed version of all the reloading steps from our previous Reloading Series Fired Brass playlist. Of course you can still watch the full versions of this playlist as they are not going anywhere. So let's enjoy this complete review of all the steps in order. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave a like. And maybe even buy me a coffee below. Before I take my case, I wipe it off with these gloves to get all the crud off of it. We don't want that getting in the annealer. And then we just decap. I'm using the Mighty Armory decapping die because it has this spring in the top of it that flicks that primer out straight down the tube. It's a really nice decapping pin. This is the Annealing Made Perfect annealer. Okay, so now we can start regular annealing. Done. Knock it off into the tin. Put another piece in. And what's nice is this gives you a count too. I've done one, because it won't count the ones that you analyze. Two. Three. The first thing I want to do is fill up this tub up to this line. This is for the separator that'll separate the pins out of the brass. Now the next thing I'm going to do is get my tumbler here, put this down in the sink, and I put the pins in it. Then this thing that I store them in, this is what makes this so much easier. This is a 5-gallon bucket I use. This is a strainer. A painter's strainer for a 5-gallon bucket. I just put this in here and you're going to see how handy this comes in. Now I have my pins in here. I'll fill it up with a little, just warm water. And I'll start dumping my brass in. Right from the get-go, when I got this thing years ago, Frankfurt Arsenal brass cleaning solution. Works great. 100 rounds I pour in 2 capfuls. Then you take your lead, put it on there and screw it down tight. I'm going to take my drum, put it on the tumbler, and for 100 pieces I usually only go 30 minutes. I'm done tumbling now, so I'm going to take my drum, loosen up the top, and now I have to change the top with this little braided thing, and now I dump this. Put it in the sink and I'll fill it back up with warm water. But the great thing now about this bag, you just take it out, Dump the water in the sink. And put the bag back in. Your pins are separated. Now I just open it up. Pour it all into here. Give it some bangs. Get all the pins out. Then you close the lid. And it's got a little tab there to hold it. Then you take this cover and you put it on there. And you just start tumbling it. Okay, that should be good. Take this off. Take this out. There's probably a good, 50, 60 pins in there. And what I have is this you're going to find very handy too. It's just a little magnet on the end of a telescoping pole. So I'll get my bag. Start putting these back in there. So now I just take the brass, dump it out, roll it around a little, get all the excess water off of it. One important thing I do is I check for pins. Just bang them, look in them. Bang them, look in them. Bang them and look in them. And then the next step, we'll take them over and we'll put them in the dryer.
Nice shiny brass. Means nothing.
This is the Lyman Cyclone case dryer. This is beautiful. It's just so easy. You just take your brass, you pour some in there. You add another layer. Try not to get them down the middle though, like I just did with this one. There, they're all in there now. And I set this to about 1 hour, and then I walk away. Okay, they do get some mung in there. Can you see that down in there? And what we want to do is get that out. Now we're using our little homemade scalp from the machine that I made, and we're just going to give these a quick run through. Make sure you get them on there straight. Blow them out. Takes a lot of air. Now we're clean. This is called the Henderson trimmer. This handle here, inside it, it has a collet. Of course, you got to get the collet for the brass you have. Just put it in there, you know, take your time, make sure it's straight. So let's get at it. I'll turn it on. Just put it on. What a beautiful trim that leaves. .555. I don't know why I keep putting them in there. just untwist it, the shell falls down. When it starts getting full, I'll pour it into there. This step here now is to brush our necks out. This is a nice setup in here because I can put 2 brushes on here on each side and I can do 2 at once. Now, the importance of brushing your necks out is to make sure you get any crud or anything that was in there from our previous steps, but also it definitely helps in your bullet seating forces. This is a really easy step. You can't go wrong. So I'll turn on the machine and I'll show you a couple of times how easy this is. All right, now let me get back from the machine so I don't. In and out 2 times is what we want to do. In, out. In and out. Since I changed my neck lubing procedure, I'm going to show you here how I do it. I used to use the Neo Lube number 2, but I'm not using that anymore. What I am using is the same Imperial sizing wax. This is the same procedure doing it, it's just a different lube. So I take some, I dab it on my finger a couple of times, rub it deep into the brush, take my case, run it around, run it around, run it around, run it around. Then after 5 or so, I'll take a little more, replenish it, and get back to running it around. So that's it. I'm just basically using a different lube. Same procedure though. We're using Imperial sizing wax. You want to have some nitrile gloves on, that's for sure. So I put a dab like this on my fingertip. I put it on the other glove. Then I rub the gloves together. Now you see I got a nice coating of it on my gloves. Nice and shiny. And I'm gonna work this into the brass. And that's that. Now we're going to get to sizing. And my target is 1.0685 to 1.0690. I know that's only 5/10,000ths of an inch, but that's where this machine always puts me. It's wiper down. Check her out. Well, what do you know? 1.0690. So let's run off a few. Yeah, I usually don't have to check this, but there you go. And that's how it'll be for the rest of the brass. We're going to clean them with these microfiber gloves I ordered off of Amazon. They work good and they're actually faster because we're not trying to hypoenergenic these things. Just wipe them down. This is the fastest and best way I found of doing it. I thought the rag was better than these gloves, then I played around with it a little and found out this was great. In and out 2 times is what we want to do. In, out. In and out. CPS primer and how I prime with this bracket I made to keep the shell down so we're not indexing off the rim because the rim thickness is different all the time. So you just use a regular pin gauge that is 1,000 smaller than your neck interference fitting. You put it in there, you lift up on this, you slide your shell in, you bring it down, and you tighten it down. Don't cram it down just till this stops with hand force. It doesn't really take much longer to load these in there, and to me, it's well worth it not indexing off of the rim. That's just not acceptable. And keeping the stroke the same is very important. And just pull down like that till it bottoms out. I'm at 60. I'm 59. So I'm just taking the arm and I'm pulling down on it. $62. $62. $64. Okay, now we're going to get to powder throwing. Okay, there's like a middle layer that you can open them and then you can lock them down. These are made by EP Integrations, loading blocks. And over here, I just use a plain old RCBS powder thrower. So this is a dandy powder trickler. Then this is my scale. This is a Sartorius scale that they don't make anymore. But as you see, this goes down to 1/1000th of a grain. All right. So I need a cup. I put it underneath. Put a charge in. All right, that's 27.580. Bump it up a little more. $28.9665. Now the next kernel in there could be really big. I'm going to find a real little one in here just to show you how I do this. Although I'm going to drop that in there. And that brings us up to 27.985 grains. You can't beat this. I'm so glad I switched over to this because your powder charge can make a hell of a difference. Like everything. Right now I'm just trying to do all this stuff for you guys and show you how I do it. But after we get done with this fire forming, I am very critical, especially for my match ammo. All right, 27, 730. 27, 940. 27.99, and I can't go any higher. Here we go. 27.995. That is 5/1000ths of a grain shy. You can't get any closer than that. It all depends. These grains, as we all know, are not equal in weight. They can range from 1.8 to 2.6 grains. Okay, so it all depends on the size of the grain that falls. In this step, we're going to be seating bullets, and what I use here is this annealing made perfect amp press. Now I know it all looks real funny to you, and why spend so much money on something like this when you can just seat bullets in a regular old press? Yes, this is true. But this press is for more than that, because it has an app that will show you what's going on, so you can learn to better improve your bullets. And I will explain that. As you can see this file over here now, this is a curve of your bullet pressures as it's seating and the difference between them. This is a fairly good one. This is nice, actually. That's what it's supposed to look like. Okay? But now we're going to start a new session. I want to keep them long for fire forming, to get as much pressure in there without going into any danger zone, and I've only got 28 grains of Hodgdon Varget loaded. So what you can do with this now is I'm going to set this down. By the way, this is the Short Action Customs Infinity APS seating die. This is made for this type of ram press. You can have the hand kind or this kind. I'm gonna lower it about 8/1000ths now, just to see where we come out with. So on this press, you can use the die setup. Alright, now you see that sat it a little more than what it should be. So let's see where we're at now. 1708. Okay, and I want her to be at 1705. So let's go down 2 more and see where we're at. We're at 17045, which is perfect. All right, now that we have this set for the right depth, we're going to start rolling these off now. So I'll take this, and there's also a ring on here where you can set that to 0 now. Okay, and I put this white tape around here just so I can keep track of where it's last set at. So I'll put it at 1.705. That's how I know where it's set at now. Saves you time going through it all. So let's get some bullets. And now we're going to use the go command, because this will start graphing. This was just to set up the die. That is a very ugly thing. Now the reason this is going to be bad is because this has never been sized. These necks have never been sized. They've never been trimmed. They've never been anything. This is just fire form and brass now. Look at the difference between those two now. I'll zoom in on this in a little bit to show you better. And I'm also, what is nice about this is you can set this up to go auto run. Remove any weights. Did. Finding the empty weight. Now you put this on there to configure the weight with the die, so it knows when you're putting something on there. And we're good to go now.